Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. In the heat of summer, many ornamentals slow down. Today, we're going to talk about some summer blooming lilies that buck the trend. Also, we're going to aerate the lawn. Let's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Joellen Diamond. Joellen is the Director of Landscape at the University of Memphis, and Booker T. Lee will be joining me later. Good to see you, Joellen.
Good to see you.
How you doing today?
Doing good.
All right, well look, we're going to talk about the types of lilies and how to care for them.
Oh, yes, we are. And you know, the lilies that you're going to get in the mail or at the garden center anywhere are going to be bulbs.
Okay.
So we're going to have to care and plant for those. But we're going to talk about the types for right now.
All right, let's do
and
that.
the most common one found in garden centers are Asiatic lilies. And
Very
of course,
familiar
they
with those.
have the widest range of colors of all of the lilies. And they only get 3 to 4 feet tall. So they're the smaller and shorter of all of the lilies that
Okay.
you can buy. They like zones 3 to 9, found in lots of parts of the country and the world. Very good Asiatic lilies, they're grown everywhere.
Including my garden.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have several of them and I love them.
Uh-huh.
All right.
They're pretty. And next are the Oriental lilies.
Okay.
Now, they are bloom in June and July, and depending on the variety, people will probably recognize these like the Casablanca, the very large white blooming, and Stargazer, which is the pinks and whites.
Okay.
But they average 4 to 6 feet in height. Of course, the Casablanca is one of the taller ones. It might be a little bit taller than 6 feet. They are zones 3 through 9 also.
That's good.
And so they are the second most popular lily and most common found.
Okay.
Now, the Orion, the next kind are the Orion or trumpet lilies.
Yeah.
And the Easter lily is probably the most famous trumpet
I know
lily
that one
there
for
ever
sure.
was. It's Lilium longiforum. And for it to bloom, because Easter is a span depending on, you know, the time a year, the different years. Easter's doesn't always fall on the same
Right.
day. So the forcing has to happen at a certain time from Easter for that 2 week window when it's blooming.
Right, gotcha.
But those are forced. But after it's done, you can plant it in the yard. In the garden, yes. Can be a perennial in zones 5 through 11.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And now they will bloom later in summer, like June, and usually in June.
Okay, so they will bloom again.
Yeah, they'll
They
bloom
Okay.
when the garden, and they'll multiply just like all the other lilies, if
Okay.
they, especially if it's the right that kind of soil.
Okay.
I have one of the heirloom lilies. I just got it. It's the regal lily, Lilium regal, and it's white with a yellow throat on the inside of the petal. On the outside of the petal, it's a pink and burgundy wash on the outside of it. So as it opens up, you've got all these colors, and it's beautiful. But it's heirloom because it has been cultivated for over 100 years.
Wow, 100 years?
Yes, so
Beautiful.
it's
Sounds
beautiful, and it does well in the garden. It's a good lily to start with.
Okay. 100 years.
100 years.
Wow, okay.
And again, these trumpet lilies, usually 3 to 6 feet, depending on which one it is. And these have fragrant flowers. Majority of these Orion or trumpet lilies have fragrant flowers.
Okay, it's good to know.
Now there's a new one that's fairly new, but I mean, fairly new to me is in the industry are two different things. I'm sure it's been worked on for a while. They're called Orion pet lilies. They're a cross between Oriental and the trumpet. So and a lot of times you'll see an OT in their name.
Okay.
Because they're Oriental and trumpets called Orion pets. And they have the best of both worlds, though. They're vigorous plants. They can get 4 to 8 feet tall, and they are fragrant, and the flowers are thicker and kind of a waxy sheen to them.
All right.
That's why they're getting to be very popular, because they are so hardy.
You're excited about that,
I
aren't you?
am, because I just bought one.
All right.
I'm going to try it out. They're zones 3 to 9 too. Next are the tiger lilies. Now, I always thought tiger lilies was the same as a lily, but they're part of the lily family. Problem is, their genus is Tigrinum splendens, and they have black spots on them, and they're
I'm familiar
orange.
with those.
They're
Okay,
orange,
yeah.
and they're found along the roadsides in much part of the country because they are vigorous and they can be supported by that.
Okay.
They'll get 3 to 4 feet tall also, but the difference is they even have smaller flowers. Each stalk might have up to 20 flowers on it. So if you get a few stalks, you're going to have a nice bunch of flowers on that.
Oh, you get your bang for your buck.
Yeah,
on that one, for sure.
and they're going to bloom a little bit later in July, maybe the beginning of August. They're zones 3 to 9.
Okay. What?
One important thing about them that people will like, they are deer resistant.
Deer resistant?
Deer do not like them. Now the other lilies is like candy
Right.
to a deer, but these happen to be deer resistant.
Deer resistant. All
Deer
right.
resistant.
That's good.
Now,
That is good.
You know, you say, okay, you've got all these lilies. Now, I have tried lilies before, and I had beautiful lilies. I was starting, you know, because I really like lilies. They're one of my favorite flowers. They're fragrant, they're bold, they're gorgeous in the landscape.
Okay.
I really like lilies, but I have had some trouble with them because I have voles. And just like the deer,
yeah.
lily bulbs in the winter are like candy to voles. So I went from 2 years of gorgeous blooms to none the next year because the voles ate them all.
The deer didn't get them, but the voles
Voles
did.
did,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you got to watch for voles. They, you know, put them in cages. That's what I'm going to do with these.
Okay.
I've decided that since I have a vole problem and I still want lilies, I'm going to put mine in cages. Also, wet soils is probably one of the worst problems with lilies. And probably the #1 cause of death of lilies is not a well-drained soil. When we say lilies need to be planted in a well-drained soil, that should be underlined 3 times with 3 exclamation points behind it.
Okay.
Because really, once they are established, they can take drought pretty good. I mean, think of it if some of the lilies are out in the fields.
Right, roadsides.
They don't need a whole lot of water.
Okay.
And they like kind of a neutral pH, which is about 6.8 to 7. So if it's too acidic or too alkaline, you've got to adjust it so it's closer to being neutral.
Okay.
They like neutral soils. And you want to plant them 3 to 5 inches deep in the ground. And that's going to depend on the type of soils you have. Like here, 3 inches would be plenty deep. 2 inches might even be better because we have such heavy soils. And they like, you know, light soils. So don't plant them too deep in your heavy clay soils. But in other parts of the country where the soils are looser,
You can't-
5 inches, yeah.
inches,
And in the winter, for more northern climates, you probably do want to do the 4 to 5 inches.
Okay, get 'em deep.
Maybe even 6, because that'll help with the frost and
Gotcha.
the cold.
So is there a correct direction, orientation
Yes,
of planting
again,
the
they're
bulbs?
going to have a point on them. And like the bulbs that I just recently got, they have, the roots are dried underneath it, so you can see the roots.
Okay,
But the
good.
wide part is where the roots are, and the point, again, just like tulips, is up because that's where the stems are coming up. And mine already had some stems coming out, and the roots were still down there, so it was very easy to tell which
Good.
was up on those.
Okay.
Yeah. In colder climates, you might want to put some mulch in the fall. Again, that's just to help them overwinter. When they start dividing, because if they like it there, they're going to divide and you're going to have lots of them to give away or to put in other places. About every 3 to 4 years, they suggest you divide them if
Okay.
you need to.
If you need to.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. If it's not growing, if there's still only 3 or 4 stems, and after 3 or 4 years, then I would just keep letting it go.
Oh, you just let it go?
Yeah.
Because I often wonder, how would you know when to divide them?
Well, when they start getting big and clumpy,
Yeah.
and they might be starting to get into other plants you have around them, and then you're going to say, hey, they're getting out of control. I want to thin them a little bit.
Got it. Now, is there a time of the year where you should divide them?
Yes.
Okay.
I would divide them in the fall. And if you really wanted to the spring, but if you had to, you could do the spring, but I try to leave things alone that are going to bloom, and I like to let them bloom. And that's the other part. When they after they finish blooming, you need to cut off the seed heads because you don't want them to form seeds. You want them to take all of that energy down into the bulb.
Got it. Okay.
So it'll bloom next year.
Got it.
And you'll see green stalks of leaves, and it might look funny, but leave them because it's just like the daffodils and other bulbs, that you have to let it die naturally so that that energy goes back into the bulb so you'll get blooms for next year.
Got it. Makes sense. Yep.
There is one other thing that sometimes they get is lily mosaic virus. The key is it's vectored by aphids.
Oh, okay.
And so if you don't ever have aphids on your lilies, then you really don't have to worry about it. But if you do have aphids on your lilies, you might go, I think I need to get rid of these. And then if you start noticing different colorations in the lily and they're not looking healthy, you'll probably have the lily mosaic virus. And you'll want to dig those up and get rid of them because there's no cure.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But I have not seen that. I have never seen that.
Okay.
But it's out there.
Okay. All right.
But they're beautiful.
They are beautiful. And again,
They're
the best time
gorgeous.
to plant the bulbs will be
Well, you can plant them in the spring or the fall.
spring and fall.
In the spring, you want to wait. You can plant them. There's a large window of time. In fact, they'll keep selling you bulbs up until May.
Okay.
Because the best time to plant them is 4 weeks before frost, the end of the frost.
All right.
So that, and around here, that would be March. But, and then up until June. Because like I planted mine in beginning of June. I got them in, I planted them right away. But I got the last window of time that they would, send them to me. They may not bloom this year, and I really don't care, but I've got to start.
Got to start. Right.
And then if you want to plant them in the fall, because they sell them both times of the year, because you can plant them both times of the year, but they all bloom in the summer.
In the summer,
And then you would plant them in the fall 4 weeks before the first frost. That's a more set time. You really need that time to plant them so they can get established in the ground before winter.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely could tell you like the,
Oh, I love
the
lilies.
summer blooming lilies, right?
They're beautiful, they're fragrant, they're gorgeous, really stand out in the landscape.
All right. Well, Jola, we appreciate that good information. All right. Thank you much.
You're welcome. Well, it's been about 7 weeks since we planted our annuals. These are all the primary colors, the yellows, the blues, the reds. And these three colors seem to work very well together. We've got different textures and colors, and it's all looking very nice. We've got the yellow sweet potato vine, we've got the red sun patiens, and the blue ageratum. And they're all looking good. So these three primary colors and all the planning that we did ahead of time to make sure we had the different colors and the different textures really does make a difference in the landscape, and these look very nice. So always plan ahead, think about the plants you're going to have, the textures, the colors that are going to go together, and you will have a successful planting.
All right, Booker, we're out here. We actually have an aerator.
Yeah,
We're gonna
aerator.
aerate our lawns. So why do we need to aerate anyway?
Because over a period of time, your soil get compacted sometimes, and that means water, fertilizer, and not getting down to the root system.
Okay.
And over a period of time, that's going to happen. Especially you got a lot of traffic on your lawn, the kid playing on it, you cutting and mowing, crossing, walking, crossing. And then you need to aerate it sometime. And the aerator is going to loosen the soil up.
Okay.
For that water can get through the soil, it can move through the soil when it rains, the fertilizer can get down to the root system. You want all that to happen to your soil, to your grass. If not, when you put fertilizer, it just don't stay on top. It's not going to get down to the root system. So you want to loosen that soil up some. And you got Bermuda grass and you got fescue grass. You got a warm season grass and you got a cool season grass. And the best time to do that is your warm season grass when the grass begin to come out of dormancy.
Okay.
And this probably last of April or the 1st of May.
Okay.
It is not too hot because once you aerate it, you expose the root system
Right.
to the heat. So you don't want to do that to it now. So
Okay.
if it's real hot and you do it, then you might need to water it in or something. You need to water it because the root system will dry out.
Okay.
And for fescue lawn, you want to do that probably in September when that grass begins to grow. So you don't want to do it in the winter month when it's going dormancy. You don't want to do Bermuda grass in September because if it's dormancy and it's not doing any growth and the roots will be exposed all winter long, that could damage your grass.
Sure. Sure.
So this is a good time. No, it's not too hot now. It'll probably get some rain and something. You don't need to water it in. And that's for the nutrient can pass through the soil. So we need to aerate it. Probably, depending on how much traffic you have on your lawn, maybe 4 or 5 years, depending on how you
Okay,
traffic.
so it's not that often
Not
then,
that
for the
often
most part.
you aerate. You know, then you got somebody out there doing something all the time, that's playing football or whatever you're doing on
Right.
your lawn or something like that, and having the compact soil. And that's why I tell folks, don't mow your grass when it's real wet, because when you're wet or damp a lot, you compacting the soil down, so you don't want to do it then. So you want to make sure that when you cut your grass and everything, it's kind of dry.
Okay.
And that's one thing you want to do that. So this aerator here, I know it's a good thing. And what the aerator do, it punches holes into the soil.
Okay.
You know, you go up and down, you go cross, and you get a good coverage on there for that water and stuff and pass through the soil.
Okay, so it pulls the plugs out. So we can leave the plugs
You
on
can
the
leave
ground?
plugs on the ground. You leave them. You want to worry about putting them in the thing there. You just leave them on the ground, and over a period of time, they'll break out.
Okay.
And they'll compact and be built into your soil.
And aeration is something that works, because you said you did it in your
I
own
did,
yard,
man,
right?
a couple of years ago, and I could see the difference in that grass that year. It just came out so pretty and everything. Because when I saw it real compact, I had been in the house over 20 years, and I said, I need to do something to my grass. It just wasn't doing good. I need to do something to it. And I said, let me aerate it. And I did that, and it really helped. You know, and if you've been in your lawn house for a while, you got compact soil, and you see the water and thing not getting down to it like it should, it don't look like you should look. Aerating.
Aerating, okay.
You know, and this and no, like I said, you got Bermuda grass. You want to do it probably about the 1st of April. I mean, last of April or the 1st of May.
Okay.
And fescue in September.
Okay. And the grass will recover from, of course, the aeration itself.
Yeah, that's why I say you want to
There's
do
no
it.
problem.
That's why I say you want to do it when it begin to grow.
Oh,
You know, you want to begin to grow, so you don't want to do it.
So it can recover.
It cover quick, yeah. It can recover in there and stuff in there. And I wouldn't do it on a real hot day, you know, like in there. So I wouldn't do it then. And
Okay.
if I do, you need to make sure that you water it in. 'Cause you know where the sport or rooster system out there, because they could dry out.
Okay. All right, Booker.
Yeah, you
So
want to do it. Show me a show for how I do it and how I look and everything in there. Cause when I was doing it last time, they were pulling me down the thing. You know, you must be very careful when you're doing that. So
Okay.
we don't go and do this and show you how to do this.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good. So what you think?
Man, it's good. Tell you to do it when it clip. Do it when it's not too hot. But it's good though. Do what you need to do.
Okay.
You see how it's going up and down, just like mowing your grass. Make sure I try to cover every spot in there. So, and this is gonna hit the grass a lot better. You'll see it again next year. This year, you'll see how it grows real good.
Okay.
Aeration is very, very important.
Okay, yeah, we can see the little plugs that
See
they
the
pulled
blood
out
come
too.
out the ground and everything, so going through that. If you want to do it real good, you can go back across another way.
Okay.
That will help some too. But this should be good enough. Just one way should be okay.
Okay. All right, Booker, again, so how often do we need to do this?
Probably about every 3 or 4 years, depending on how much traffic you have in your lawn. And what I would do there, I would just look at my soil and see how the water is it doing anything? The water begin to penetrate to the soil.
Okay.
And you would then just look at this grass. You can tell if it's compact or not. When it rains, water kind of stand for a while.
Right.
Also, that when you're adding fertilizer to it and your grass not doing anything, it might just be standing on top of the soil and not getting into the root system. So you can tell that when you do that. So this is a good thing to do aeration. I like doing it, and it's good.
And it's good for the grass because
Good
of
for the
what?
grass now. Yeah, let water and air move to the soil and also get fertilizer down to it. And you need that because grass need to breathe too. Because root system needs some air, and that's why we do aeration. Aerate the soil and everything. So, and like I said again now, Bermuda grass, you want to do it probably about April, stuff last of April to in between May. And fescue grass is a cool season grass. You want to do it when that grass begin to grow, and fescue being sometime in September.
All right, well, Booker, we appreciate that demonstration.
Oh, good.
Did it work out?
Good workout. I want to go to the gym today.
This is a spirea and it is deciduous. So until the leaves started coming back out again, we didn't realize how much of it had died, either due to the cold weathers we've had, or it's just time for the plant to self-prune. But we need to get rid of the dead out of this and make the plant look better and it'd be healthier. So we're gonna start and prune out some of these dead branches. We're pruning these as far down as possible, and what we're finding is some of them we don't even have to prune because they're so brittle that they are just coming apart themselves. Well, there's the last dead branch. Now the shrub is dead branch free, and it's going to be looking better, and the summer will go on and it'll continue to bloom for us and be pretty.
All right, John, here's our Q&A segment. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, these are some good questions.
Yes, they are.
All right, here's our first via email. How can I overwinter a hibiscus tree? And this is Tom from Hamilton, Ohio. So, Mr. Tom, guess what?
Ooh.
John actually has done this before,
Yeah, I've
right?
done
The
that.
hibiscus tree.
Well, the thing is, in this part of the country, I have always put mine in the garage,
Yeah.
but we don't get cold winters like they do.
Right, right.
So they're going to have
So
to
Ohio.
actually bring it inside.
Right.
And you might want to treat it with some kind of insecticide, whether it be, an organics insecticide or a systemic insecticide or something, because it is invariably, even in the garage, before I took it back outside, it got aphids and some little spider mites and things like
Right,
that that must have been lingering from being outside where
Sure.
it was normally taken care of by other bugs. So, but yeah, if you'll spray it and take it inside, you're going to need to put it in as much light as possible, thinking it's been outside.
Yeah.
So you want to put it in as much light as possible. It's still going to lose leaves because nothing is going to be as intense as being outside.
Right.
So you just gotta have to, hopefully, just you hope it survives through the winter with losing some leaves, and I wouldn't keep it very wet.
Yeah, I
I
was
would
gonna
keep
ask
it
you
on
about
the
that.
dry. Yeah, keep it. Water it infrequently. Make sure it gets really dry before you water it again, because you don't root rot. You don't want to root rot.
Yeah, right.
Because look, there's not as much light for the plant to use, so it doesn't require as much moisture as it
good
did
point.
when it was outside.
No, that's a good point. It's real good. Yeah, so watch the watering, for sure. And don't be alarmed if any leaves fall off. Well, it's natural.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, it was outside.
Yeah.
Now it's here.
And they'll
inside.
come back when you put it back outside.
Oh, they will. They're beautiful. They'll work. So there you have it, Mr. Tom. Thank you so much. Appreciate that question. Here's our next via email. I want to use a crepe myrtle as a shade tree. Should I prune to one trunk or several? And this is Morgan from St. Louis, Missouri. So that's a good question.
That is a good question.
All right, so what do you think about that? Because we both have crepe myrtles.
Yeah,
at home.
and they do tend to be bushy.
Yeah.
But there's very few single trunked crepe myrtles that I've noticed. I mean, the trunks themselves are very ornamental. So usually you have them in odd numbers. 3 is a
Yeah.
very popular odd number to have. And sometimes they'll go up to 5, but 3 is a good number to leave. But this is it. If you have the crepe myrtle and you have all these stems coming out, pick 3, I don't care if they're big or little, that are the furthest away from each other in a triangular
That's a good
shape,
point. Yeah.
because the larger the trunks get, you don't want them to grow together
Got it.
to get included bark.
Okay.
For the health of the tree, make sure that they are the furthest apart. And when because they'll keep getting bigger. I mean, the base of mine are at least 3, 4 inches
Yeah, so am I.
round.
Yeah.
So just think about that. Don't leave them close together.
Right. And it will provide decent shade.
It will do that.
Definitely
Yes.
do that.
Some of them get to 30 feet tall.
Yeah. That's good though. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so we thank you, Morgan, for that, right? So several trunks, not just one, several. All right. Here's our next via email. Do I need to amend my perennial bed? After 7 years, the soil has gotten hard. And this is Francis from Norfolk, Virginia. So what do you think about that? Amending the perennial bed,
Yeah.
right? And it was actually, when it was first established, was amended with compost.
Good.
And it was loose, of course, at that
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Because you're someone that actually prepares a lot
Yeah.
of beds and such.
I have a lot of perennials at my house,
Yeah.
and perennials don't need a whole lot of care once they are established.
Okay.
They don't seem to need much care, but if you want to, you can. But think about the root systems are probably in all that soil, so even though it might seem hard to you, it might be just full of roots. That was my other thought with that.
Right.
And if she wants to add anything new, that'd be fine too. And if she wants to amend it where she's planting that one a little bit, remember, it's only 20% amendment to the existing soil.
Okay.
And she can do that.
Yeah,
If
because
she-
that was a question about, should we only amend when we plant new plants?
Yeah, I would think so. I
would do
mean,
it?
if you just want to, you can amend them. I would put more compost on it than anything
Yeah, I
else.
would, yeah.
And see, a lot of times I just leave the leaves
Yeah.
and let them compost and be the mulch on top of the ground, and I don't even.
Huh, okay.
I don't even worry. And then that will also, the composting of the leaves that are acting as my mulch, it actually feeds the plants. So I usually don't do anything
Okay.
to them after that because they don't require it.
Right. Yeah, you're right, because you can always, address that situation by adding, compost or, leaf mulch or something just to
Yeah.
the surface.
Yeah, you could just do that to
Right.
the surface.
Just to
Sure
the surface,
could.
and just let it, break down over time. Let Mother Nature take care of that for you.
Yeah.
And it'll provide, of course, nutrients, for those plant roots. Because we are talking about a perennial bed.
Yeah,
right?
it's just perennials. Yeah.
Right. So I think that
Yeah,
would
I
work.
like all my perennials. I like them to grow close together, not on top of each other.
Right, yeah, right,
Because you
right.
want some air movement
Sure.
around them,
That's a good
but
point.
close together, and that's when you start dividing
All right.
if they get too close.
All right. Well, Francis, we hope that helps you out there. Thank you for that question. Joel, it's fun as always.
Yes, it is.
Thank you much. Appreciate it. Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is questions@familyplotgarden.com. And the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee, 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching. If you want to find out more about summer blooming lilies or aerating your lawn, head on over to familyplotgarden.com. We have information about this and many other gardening topics. Go check it out. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.